back with more Crown Victoria Gambler build. Today, with the help of my lovely assistant, we're going to be attempting to lift the back of this bad boy. This is pretty simple. There's just some spacer pucks to stuff in the back and some Ford F150 4x4 shocks to replace the stock ones. And you could also do this by replacing the whole spring with like a Ford Expedition spring, but I couldn't be bothered. So let's get on with it. So we got the wheel off. If you're looking at how to do a lift, I assume you could take off a wheel. So what we're going for is this spring in here. We want to stuff that spacer right under there. And we also need to replace this shock with something a little bit bigger. So first thing we're going to do is get some PB Blaster on it, because that looks pretty crispy. And I'm looking at that and realizing, oh good, it's another one of those hold the threaded part steady while you take off a big nut. Hopefully that won't go as terribly as it's gone with the last couple sides. Mr. PB Blaster, why thank you. Down here you go. This one's got a nut on the other side. That's nice. That'll make life easy. And then we're going to get started on those. Let's jump on it. Should be good now. I'll hold that for you. Here, let's get a ratchet on this. There you go. I'll hold the 15 in the back for you. Make sure it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Sounds like it's almost off. Pull it up. Hey, you should put those doo-doo gloves on.
Well, you wiped whatever was on your gloves all over me.
Did I?
Yes, you did.
When?
When you went to take it from my hand.
Oh, whoops. That's PB Blaster. That's okay. It's good for the skin. Alright, we got that off now. That is a 19 on the nut side and a 15 on the bolt side. Give that a wee hammer. There we go. So I got this red jack under the axle, and I just picked up on it a teeny bit to make this bolt come out easier. Come on, friend. And now it's out. Gonna put the nut on it so it doesn't try to run off. Let's just drop this, see how much we get out of it. Pretty low. I'm noticing that may not be enough. Checking on the other side, but we're gonna have to make it work. Might have to jack up the other side too. So this is not like the little front ones. This is actually like a square threaded piece up there. So I just went straight to putting the vice grips on it. And it's pretty gross. So I'm going to do the same thing I did on the ball joints out there and just kind of slowly work it off. Better to go slow than to mess it up and be stuck grinding. Right, Charlotte? You'd hate to grind. She gets migraines. Yup. Charlotte, help me. I'm fat and out of shape.
I'll be any better.
What?
I said, you think I'll be any better?
Well, you're fresh. Fresh meat. Yeah, young and supple. What? I could say supple and moist and other words like that. It's just you that doesn't like them. Blossoming into a young woman. Yeah. You just don't like any flower metaphors, like being deflowered. You hate that. Little girl. Yeah. Little girl. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how it goes. I know how it sounds. Little girl.
So tell me your name, little girl.
Yeah. Weren't even around for that.
Music still haunts me.
Yeah, most 80s music is awesome, so I think you would agree too.
We cranking out 80s music in the truck.
That's the whole point of it.
Yeah, the whole point of the analog radio.
Whole point of the analog radio in the 80s truck. Envy, yeah.
Let me just...
Why don't you deflower the new one then?
Looks like moss. I know it's rust though.
Yeah, it's rust. Well, that's loose. I don't think it's quite loose enough to get the spacer in. I think we're going to end up having to either lift this side way more and jump on it, or lift the other side. Well, we got both sides up now. You can see the tire on the other side's off the ground, and the spring still not down. Looks like picking up on it, the sway bar link is holding it. And then we'll probably just disassemble even more suspension as we need it. Just gonna spin around in there, huh? Well, I see we got another flat right here, probably specifically for our good friend the vice grip. Yeah. Pink. There it is. Alright, what do you think, Charlotte? When I lower this, you think it's going to get it significantly lower, or we're going to have to take apart more suspension? See? Now you're learning. So cynical. When did that happen?
Tire fell off.
You weren't even there when the tire fell off.
On your Jetta.
You weren't even there when that... Oh, you were there the second time the tire fell off. That's right.
The bolts are sheared.
Well, we might be getting this one out now. It's pretty crusty, I gotta say. Boing. Look at how clean it never was. No. Okay, would you mind grabbing me the cup? Just show how it's supposed to go in there. The spacer back there. Yeah. Yeah, so that's how this is supposed to go in there. It's supposed to go whoop, over the big cup, and then this other side will just sit in there. No welding. That's what they say. Yeah, we were behind a Volvo that was lifted like this on the first Gambler, and there was a couple of pretty big bumps, and the car would just go and just poop its spring out the back, and then we'd have to stop and put it back in. Okay, let's go get that spring compressor. Totally feel free to chime in with like a, hey, I think you're being an idiot, because there's a really good chance you'll be right.
Hey, I think you're an idiot. So.
Well, that's just hurtful.
Me being fine.
Yeah? Friend zoned. What?
Maybe because of being with the cross, like how to put these babies.
Trying to throw these babies in 4-low. Yeah, that meme goes and circulates through the Gambler chat every now and again too.
Well, that's what made me think of when you put the pins in.
Oh, throw these babies. Yeah, it's got the locker. I guess it could technically be called a locker too. It's so warm out, I can't believe it.
Nice.
I know, what a change. I could do rabbit things tomorrow if it ever finally decides to leak all it's gonna leak. I don't think it'll always leak all it's gonna leak. That anyone that knows those rabbits, those thermostat housing areas are pretty troublesome. Here, Charlotte, now that I got this on, I'm gonna sit on the other side of the car and you can tighten these down. These are probably the least sketchy spring compressors I've seen. Diesel Dave did a really sketchy one where he had just 2 lengths of all thread and some like flat steel going through it, and that's what he did his Merc with. Or it might not have been that exactly, but it was equally bad. All right, now I just got to find out what size that is. What do you think? 15? 18? What's it like being wrong? It's like being me. Here's the 19. That's what it is. Yeah, don't get used to it. It'll probably just drop again pretty soon.
Start getting warmer. March 15th is the first day of spring.
That doesn't mean anything out here. You know that. You're the one that always talks about the...
Having been snowed on top of in the Adirondacks in June doesn't mean anything.
Problems? The spring goes up and sits in a perch in like under the car, and that's pretty much a big flat spot. So I can't actually tighten the spring compressor down any more than it already is. Otherwise these threads will go up and they'll interfere with the body. Here is what ended up working. This caliper, I said I was going to disassemble it, but it's like built into this axle. So instead I just extended it as far as I'm comfortable going using this trusty jack. And on the underside with the spring compressors, we ran into an issue where the cup where the actual spring goes doesn't want to go, right? You run out of threads. You can't compress it any further. So I don't know if you can see there. There's actually a hole that only one of the spring compressors will go through. The other one won't. So you just gotta cram it up through that one. Yeah, it's a huge pain, but hey, we figured it out, so we're gonna just continue. stubby arms. You get to do the honors. It won't explode. Cut towards yourself, Charlotte. That's how you do it.
Hey, I'm printmaking professor was always like, don't do this, you'll hurt yourself. Do what I want. I'm a 21-year-old.
Watch it.
Wander aversion.
It sure isn't.
A nice little line, you can see where it was.
The Jetta ones made a much more like satisfying and it went big really quickly. Alright, let's build this up too.
A lot longer than the other one.
You know why? Because we're
lifting it.
Yeah, let's do a little comparison.
Like an inch or two.
Like 3 inches or so? Because that's how much we're lifting it.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2 inches.
You would. Always trying to shortchange me on the inches. So the other one went like, where is it? Doesn't even look like this at all. Something like that.
Pick it up.
Get back here. This, and then it would go like this, and then the other one. The other squishy one. Beep. Or knowing my luck, it's probably the total opposite.
I don't know.
Charlotte was smart and figured it out. Looks like this strut's a little different from the old one. Goes washer, spacer, car frame, spacer, washer. I guess those would be bushings, whatever you want to call them. And this one up top here is a 14. What? Subi? Is it just me or does that move around an awful lot on there?
The other one I'm pretty sure had little rubber bits on it.
Did he have little rubber bits on him?
Yeah.
Ooh, little rubber bits.
Really bad bits.
Very bad crusty rubber bits.
Dried up a lot.
Dried up rotten ones.
Pretty sure all that was in the box. Like,
No, I guess it didn't, huh? Well, isn't that nice? We'll have to figure out what to do then. So, looks like that strut wasn't quite the same or quite right. Right? Needed some spacers. So, what better spacers than this? The one that it just had on it.
Oh, so is it just like a metal tube stuck in it?
It is a metal tube, but what I'm probably going to end up doing is like peeling this off so it doesn't get all stinky and just sawing sawing that using these little metal tubes on either end as a spacer.
They don't just go through the way?
They might, but you really don't want me to torch that. I wouldn't be able to get it out of the other one either. let you come. Come on.
Really dry and upset.
It is pretty gnarly. Wouldn't a bench vise be nice? Perfect. A little tight, had to redo it a couple times, but that's worth it because it doesn't wiggle. Very good. Mr. Hammer. I took Mr. Hammer. Okay. Hand tight. I think I might even see why the evaporator code is going. It's all upset. It stinks like gas under there and it really shouldn't. Might have a leak. There's that bottom of the strut good and on there. Sway bar time. Yep, you're right, Charlotte. So there we go. There is our first back spacer installed. And it doesn't look very impressive because I had to put the stock tires back on. The bolt pattern is 5x4.5. And dude sold me 5x5s saying they were 5x4.5. So gotta find a way to work that out. But we got a little bit out of it. It's about a 3-inch lift, not that you could tell. And this was pretty rough. Didn't do this super great, but if the front half is anything like this, then I'll be able to do it in fine style next time.